Welcoming our first guest to the stage. He is Deputy Head of Net Innovation at the European Commission. It is, of course, Peter Fatelnig. Thank you. We swapped sides as well, so you're there and I'm... Peter, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I've got so many questions I don't even know where to begin to start with you. Can you just tell us a bit more about the work that you're actually doing within the European Union then?
Well, I think your introduction said everything. It's internet innovation. It's two words, which internet on the one hand is sort of a technological subject. So we really try to develop in Europe the capacity to be more innovative on the internet. But innovation is the more important thing because it's people. And this is where the European Commission can be very active, to network those people who really can innovate on the internet, those entrepreneurs, startups, and build European communities. And we see them appearing already.
So what is the aim, the hope of the work that you're doing at the moment?
More people developing innovative services on the internet. Fast, really cool things. People taking this up as a job and building for themselves a career, an aspiration, and a success out of that.
And how, since you began in your position, have you seen things change? I mean, do you believe that the internet, almost as an open source, is allowing a new era of innovation that we perhaps haven't seen before?
Well, I'm an engineer by training, and so I tend to believe that I kind of see what's coming. I'm constantly wrong. It's going so fast. Innovation comes from areas which I didn't see coming at all. So I'm quite careful sort of seeing prediction, and I think it's important that we enable right now those innovations in the future, so that we make sure that people who do research have the capacity to get their research out into innovation. We connect them with people who can pick it up and make a product out of it. That is really this kind of part, which in Europe is not as strong as in other parts of the world, that we say, that's cool, let's go for it.
And how would you say things have changed, and how is innovation being able to be helped by the open platforms, by cloud sourcing? Is it a case of maybe not having to reinvent the wheel twice, so you're able to share information a lot easier?
What really has changed the last few years and makes this innovation is possible, that there's loads of infrastructure these days. Maybe many years ago there was less and it was not so easy, but today it's abundant. Computing is available at virtually zero cost. The tools to develop innovation on the internet are there for download, most of them for almost zero cost. So to start a business on the internet, the costs have dramatically reduced, including that the public sector also made it easier for startups, helping them. There's lots of startup and support help in the beginning. So basically there's no reason why you should not get going this afternoon.
Really? This afternoon? How are you encouraging people, though? Because often it's, you can have an idea, but it's having the funds and maybe also the guts to actually go forward with your idea and turn it into an internet business and to innovate with it. I mean, what is out there in order to encourage Europe to start to lead the way with innovation in terms of internet platforms?
A lot has changed in the last few years, and I think this is also due to the fact that it's easier to travel, it's easier to have access to information. People build much easier networks. These are real networks with friends or the community you live, or virtual networks which can help you. So accessing information you need to get capital, to work with people is so easy. Take an example. Many apps on the internet are developed by worldwide communities. A designer in China, a programmer in Brazil, and a guy who monetizes sitting in Europe. So you would be amazed, in fact, how many apps are developed in Europe today. The market for last year for European developments on apps was 17 billion euro. That's a lot of money. That's almost 1 million jobs.
70 billion euros?
Yes.
1 million jobs. And how much has that changed in the last, maybe, you mentioned in the last 5 years, I mean, in terms of financial?
The app market didn't exist 5 years ago. It was not there. So that is purely added net value jobs.
Why do you think internet open sourcing, cloud computing has taken off so much in a way that many of us might not have even predicted 5, 10 years ago?
In Europe it has taken off because there's a lot of industrial drivers behind it. We might not see this sort of infrastructure today here. It's not visible to us. But a lot of capacity has been added by the very big companies. It's the telecom operators, it is the manufacturing industry. You would be impressed how much technology you find in cars like this over there. Is this an automotive product or is it an ICT product? I'm tempted to say the ICT part is more important than the rest in it.
And does that lead us on to things like, and obviously we'll be talking to Sajjad Khan from BMW later on, but of course how cars were probably the last thing to kind of embrace the internet in terms of manufacturing, but we could see some real revolutions with cars and with open source technology and with the internet coming in the future.
You said a few times now the word open internet, and I think...
I like that word.
Now, this is something which is of particular importance to the European Commission, because we would like to make sure, it is our European policy, that we have an open internet. An internet where people can feel safe and secure and do what they want as a business or for leisure on there. So discussions which are taking place in other parts of the world, whether you should monetize content providers or whether the network operators are allowed to interfere in the traffic, this is something we don't want to have. The internet needs to be open. That is also the clear line of the European Commission, and we'll make sure that we can preserve that in a global internet.
I mean, obviously we want to look at the positives today, but how do you secure that you can preserve an open internet?
These are negotiations. In fact, these are negotiations in the fora, in the worldwide fora, where politics and policy plays an important role. It's not a technology question. All that can be fixed. Technology is just a means, but that is a policy question. Do we want to have content providers to contribute to paying for the internet, or do we not want to have that? Do we want to have end-to-end connectivity where the middleman is not visible to you? Yes, we want it in Europe. And this is important for us. This is also what we see under open governments and the transparency we want.
And how are you going to see that perhaps being discussed further in the future?
There are regular discussions within the fora, which brings in usually the Asian partners, the American partners, and the other parts of the world where this is being discussed. This is a very high political topic right now, so the outgoing commissioner dedicated a lot of time, personal time, to make sure she has a very strong point on that, because the pressure is very high from the companies behind running the internet.
Okay, and just, I suppose on a slightly side tangent, within your role at the European Commission, if you could put on your crystal ball, and I know with technology it's impossible to predict the future, but if you could put on your crystal ball, I mean, I love the idea of connected cities. Are there any other things that we could see within the next 5-10 years that you're able to predict now, which could really revolutionize the world the same way the mobile phone did, the smartphone did in the last 5 years?
You know, I do crowdfunding with small amounts of money. Systematically, I put money on Internet of Things. Today, there are 4 times as many machines as people on the internet. And tomorrow, it will be a lot more. Cisco says it will be 50 billion by 2020. But this is, I think, where the future is. The internet is not necessarily a network of humans connecting. It's going to the nervous system of the planet. And there will be many companies making a lot of money in that area.
And do you think it's an industry that we just can't afford to ignore? No one can afford to ignore it anymore?
Nobody can. And there are many other people who invest massively in the Internet of Things these days. I'm just one with a little money trying to see where it goes.
And just finally, Peter, because we're running out of time already, what does it mean to you to be involved in all of this?
The passion, I can really live my passion here, which is not so much being the engineering side, good to understand, but to work with people. It's so great to work with entrepreneurs, to give opportunity for them to succeed. We have yesterday opened another part of the program to 1,300 entrepreneurs. That's a big number, even for Europe, that's a big number. So I'm really looking forward to work with people and help them to innovate. Whatever crazy idea they have, we would like to work with them.
Surely the crazier the better as well with innovation. Okay, and just finally, what would anyone watching out there on the internet who might potentially have an idea for an internet startup be able to do in order to improve it?
That's an easy answer. It's everything online these days. So if you go to FI-PPP.org, you will find a universe of technology you can play with. You will find the money which enable to implement your ideas. And we really look forward for thousands of people getting into the seats this afternoon, trying to put together ideas and submit them. Good luck.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Peter. We will be bringing you back on stage a little bit later on today, but unfortunately we've only got about 5 minutes of your time. So if you can head back to the green room. Thank you.